Today we're going to be answering one of, I would say, the Tarkov community's age-old question. Should I be insuring my gear? Is it worth it? Well, let's talk about it today, I guess. There's a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about in this video. So sit down, relax, grab a coffee, and let's go. There's a lot of questions we've got to ask ourselves before we go and insure our gear, and I'm going to give you that list of questions, and we're going to talk about everything one by one. But the first thing I want to talk to you about, and it is the Trump rule of the oh shit. This rule is by far the most important rule, because if you do it, you shouldn't insure. That is the oh shit rule. If you say oh shit after you see the cost that it's going to be after you insure everything, no, you don't insure. I don't care what level you are, if you're a level 5 or if you're a level 50. If you go to that screen and you insure everything and then you look at that number and you're like, oh shit, don't insure. It's probably way too much. Then, you know, it might not be worth it for you at that moment. But if you didn't say that when you're at your insurance screen, you know what? There's still so many questions we got to ask. So let's get going with those. One of the questions that should be coming up right now is, what quests are you on? Right? So if you're just going after, say, the bosses, those are the tasks you're doing. You want to go after these bosses. You might think about insuring your gear, because to go after these bosses, you have to kind of bum rush them to get there first. And guess what? They have aim lock. They can see you from 400 meters away, and they can one tap you so easily. And then guess what? Your body's in Nowheresville in a bush or something, right? So let's take Sturman, for example, right? If you want to go after him, you have to go to the mill. You're going to run right to it. You're going to try to get there first, especially if you hear his SVD going off. And there is a good chance that he's just going to tap you, or his guards are going to tap you. And if that's the case, what are the chances someone's going to find your body in one of the bushes or in the tall grass? So it is something to think about what task you're on, or if you're going after scavs. Everyone lately has been talking about how they just have aim lock lately too. The scavs are one tapping me from nowhere town. You should insure then. Scavs are just as dangerous sometimes as PMCs. Like it just seems like their difficulty level has been ramped up a little bit more. Now, just because you're going after bosses or scavs doesn't mean you might not run into a couple of PMCs. But what it does mean is that you're not going to put yourself in a position where you're deliberately going after PMCs so that it is like it's you or them, right? So if I were you, I would probably be insuring if you're just going after these quests and you are deliberately staying away from PMCs. But if you're the type of person to go after quests and PMCs, if you hear gunshots, you get a little bloodthirsty too. Let's talk about some of the next questions you should be answering then. A really important question to ask yourself is, are you playing with other people? Are you teaming up? And if the answer is yes, if you're in a group, you should be insuring your gear. I truly believe that. Now, if you're teaching people to play Tarkov, like if your group mates are just learning Tarkov, then maybe this is a different scenario. But if you're teaming up with people that, you know, you usually play with, they know Tarkov, you're not teaching them or anything, definitely insure, right? I always saw Tarkov as like, you know, that cheesy saying, like there's no I in team. Same thing with Tarkov. As long as one person extracts and the other and that person probably would have dumped your gear, you guys won, right? You might not get back your meds from insurance, you might not get back your ammo from insurance, but you'll get everything else back. So when you're duoing, trioing, if you're doing 4 or 5 mans, hey, all the power to you. That's an art form that I don't do often, but if you're in a group in general, I would say always be insuring, because the chances are you're going to get a good chunk of your gear back, because they're going to be able to get the drop on that other PMC, but is also a chance that you're going to get team wiped. But I'm going to tell you that more times than not, when you're duoing and trioing and whatnot, insurance is going to come back to you a lot more. And here's the thing, if a one man, right, if it's a solo does kill a 2-man or a 3-man, all 3 of you guys, here's the other thing, they're only going to be able to take so much of your stuff also, right? So that's another thing to think about. But I always see it as long as one of you guys survives, it's a win then, because they probably dumped your gear, they got out with a whole bunch of loot, hey, it's a win, and vice versa. If I get out, but I dumped all your gear, you should see it as a win. That's just me and how I see things in Tarkov for sure. But in the end of the day, if you are playing with a duo or a trio, or God help me, a 4-man or a 5-man, definitely be insuring your gear, because I'm going to say you're going to see it back more times than not. So the next one is, I would say, like, what level are you? And does anyone want your gear? Be honest, right? Like, so if you don't know, the lower level you are, the cheaper insurance is, right? So later on in this video, actually, we're going to do a comparison of some like higher end items that I have at my level 1 account. We insure that with my level 1 account, and then with my other account that's level 42, I insure the same stuff, and we see what the price difference is. But what I want you to know is, if you are a lower level person, a lot of times if you insure your gear, not many times anyone wants to take your shit. And the other thing is, a lot of times people will see that you're under a certain level and they'll be like, I'm just going to leave their stuff. Like, my rule of thumb is, if you're under level 18, you get all your stuff back. I don't know if it's insured, but trust me, I'm going to leave it, because I just know what it's like, right? Like, this game's punishing enough. I probably don't want to take your SKS anyways, or your, you know, like your level 3 armored rig. But just looking at your equipment, always be honest and be like, hey, is anyone going to want my level 3 armored rig? No one's going to want this. I would say right now in the wipe, like, listen, if it was early wipe, yeah, for sure. But this later on in the wipe, unless they're also another low level player, they're probably not going to take your level 3 armor. And that goes for most times, right? Like, if you're running level 3 armor, no one's going to take it. I would say 9 times out of 10, no one's going to take it. Maybe 7 out of 10, I would say. There are people that do want it that are also low levels, right? But what I want you to be is just honest with your equipment. Is like, is someone going to take this? Does anyone really want this? You know, like the GSSHs are what I would call a boomerang item, where not many people like them at all. They're not worth the squares that they would take up for them to sell them. So that's a boomerang item, and I am going to make a video about that actually sometime in the next week. I'm going to be making a video on all the items that I think are boomerangs, so you could use them, and the chances of them coming back to you in insurance are very high, because again, they're boomerang items. There's a reason why people don't like to pick them up, but that'll be later on. So if you want, hey, subscribe to the channel, you know, and then wait for that video to come out. But like I was saying, being honest about your level. If you're early level, you should always be insuring stuff, and then just being honest about your equipment. Like, is it that good that you think people would really want it, or are they going to find other stuff that's going to be more worth it and they're going to make more money off of it, right? But there is a cool trick I want to talk to you about guns. So we'll jump into that. So let's say someone kills me right now with this kit on, okay? With this gun, they're 100% taking this gun, right? It's an RSAS, it's 76251. It's pretty meta. They're going to be taking it. And any gun that I would say is 76251 or 76239, most people are going to try to take the whole gun, because that's what people like to use right now. They're just great guns, and you know, it's a free weapon that they'd be using anyways for the next time. Now, when it comes to other guns, like let's take, for example, the 545 AK here, the SOG, not as many people are going to want to take this gun, right? Not as many people. Oh, we've got little Hubert clicking, clacking coming on down. Sorry, he was just going to his bed. Okay, so like I was saying, so let's, for example, say we're running the RSAS. We have nothing on our back. We have an empty slot. If I kill someone with this AK, I'm 100% throwing it there, right? Because why not? But let's take, for example, I killed someone already. On my back is this M4. I kill someone with this AK. Chances are I'm not going to take this gun, because chances are I don't use the gun itself. Probably like the 545 I'm not going to use. But the other thing is, it takes up more room than what it's actually worth to sell to the mechanic, right? So more times than not, what people will do is they will just strip it from the attachments. They'll take that, and then they'll leave this piece right behind, right? So there's something good to say that you can insure this piece, right? Like just the gun without the attachments, it's only 21,000. That's not much money. Chances are you're gonna get this gun back a lot of times. But if you did it with attachments, which probably wouldn't come back to you, it's 41,000. So it jumped almost 100% to ensure those 3 attachments on the gun. So if you are running guns that are non-meta, like your 545 or even 76239, like an SKS, right? They're not going to be taking them. Maybe the 8Rs too, like the 8Rs for sure. I know 55645 isn't super meta, but people still like the guns for sure. So like if you're running an 8R, if you're running, you know, the SKS, any sort of AK that is 545, think about insuring the gun and not the attachments, because more times than not, I think you'll get the body of the gun back and you can just build from there rather than the attachments. That's a way I feel for sure. We also did a little bit of an experiment here where I reset one of my alt accounts to a USEC, and he had all this stuff to begin with. And then I thought it would be cool to see how much it would be to insure all this gear for him, and then how much it would be to insure all this gear for me, who is now a level 43. So we're comparing the same kit for a level 1 to a level 43. So let's go quickly into there. 83,000 rubles for our level 43, where now I will show you what it costs for a level 1, and it was 44,000. So almost 100% increase in what insurance costs from level 1 compared to a level 43. And I just thought it was going to be an interesting comparison, you know, other than like me just telling you, hey, if you're low level, insure your shit, right? Like I'm all about that. Not only is it cheaper for you, but you're probably not running stuff a lot of people want to grab. So if there was anything that I could get through to a lot of people in this, is if you're a new player, if you're not running super meta gear, there's ways to insure and be smart about things. Thank you guys so much just for watching this video. It's actually pretty funny to hear about how much people say like, I don't insure my gear because I never get it back. Yet a lot of people are saying, oh, scavs are lasers. They're killing me left, right, and center. So it's funny how like people aren't insuring because they're not getting it back, yet they're complaining about scavs being way too good and overpowered. It's really funny. In the end of the day, I would love for you to do like, if you could, it would be a fun little experiment for the next 3 sessions you have in Tarkov. Mark down how many times a scav kills you and how many times a PMC kills you, and see what like the percentage is, compare it. And if it's anywhere close to like 50-50 or 60-40, it might be actually even better now to insure your gear than 100% of the time. Just a thought experiment with you guys. You know, I just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. If you did like it, subscribe to the channel. It's free for you guys. It means the world to me. We are going to be doing a boomerang video here very shortly, which means items that I think come back more times than not in insurance because of the way they are, and I'll show you in the video. So make sure you subscribe and come by the stream. I do stream 5 days a week on twitch.tv/Geekseh. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone else later.